All right, our regularly scheduled meeting of August 2nd is in session. Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brinkman?
Here.
Councilmember Cernanik?
Present.
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Councilmember Stallman?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Here. Would you all rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Any changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, the agenda is approved as submitted. Minutes for the meeting of July 16th.
I do. The minutes should show that I was absent from that meeting.
We'll note that you were with us in spirit.
Thank you.
All right, then those minutes are approved as modified. Minutes for the July 19th meeting. Then those minutes are approved as submitted. Introduction of new employees.
I have one employee to introduce to you tonight, Council, if she'll stand, Maureen Riddell. Maureen, if you'll stand. Maureen moved to Colorado from New York back in the 80s, and she and her husband have lived in Littleton 18 years. Both of her sons graduated from Arapahoe High, and she's been working the last 12 years as a paralegal for Littleton Public Schools, but she is joining us as a part-time court assistant and will be helping us, with our workflow. As you know, our municipal court's a very busy place. And so Maureen's going to come on, help us with workflow between the clerk's office, the prosecutor's office, and kind of keep everything flowing there. So I'm happy to introduce Maureen to you tonight as she joins the Littleton family.
Thank you for coming down to be introduced. Good luck, and we wish you the best. Margie, Nick, come on down.
Didn't like stairs.
So good evening.
Yes.
We wanted to come tonight and talk about our 5K
Nick,
event.
first of all, tell us who you are.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm Nick Fisher with the Humane Society of South Platte Valley, and this is Margie Munoz, who's on our board. And we wanted to come here tonight and talk about our Woof and Wag 5K event that's happening on August 27th at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's a Saturday. And last year, Debbie was our marshal, and she rode her bike to start the race off. And so we just wanted to come and talk about that a little bit tonight. And we brought a couple dogs with us. If I can, this is Kiko. He's 7. He's a cattle dog mix. And this
Not this one.
Yeah, I'll bring Kiko around. And this is Dallas. He's 2 years old, and he's a long-haired Chihuahua. So,
And they're both available for adoption, I
they
assume.
are.
They are, and don't worry, Charlie, we won't let them pee on the carpet. So thank you for letting us come tonight and talk about the Woof and Wag. Many of the citizens of Littleton have really been very supportive of the shelter since it opened in December 2009, as has the council. Thank you so much. But we wanted to raise some more awareness within the city and try to encourage people to stop by the shelter, donate if you can, donate your time, donate funding. We're still a fledgling shelter and still require some help from our citizens. And so we wanted to remind you of that and to also, come down and look at the adoptable pets. If you can find one in a place in your home, we would love that. And the Woof and Wag registration site. The Woof and Wag, first of all, starts at Aspen Grove. Most of you know that I also manage Aspen Grove. And it starts and ends at Aspen Grove, and it goes through the beautiful South Platte Park. And the registration site is
Woofandwag.org.
woofandwag.org. So Anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Tell me again when the date is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
August 27th.
August
Saturday,
27th, this is Saturday. So 3 weeks from this coming Saturday. So please do go and register. You get discount on early registration. So it's definitely an incentive to do that as well.
How many miles is it?
It's
A 5K, which is 3.1 miles.
And you could walk it or run it
Right.
or
With your
Right.
dog. With your
Bring the
baby
dog.
stroller. Yeah.
right. Got lots of great prizes. We're going to have lots of vendors. And we really had a good time last year doing it. So we want to increase participation. People who register are helping support the shelter as the funds all go directly to the shelter. And if you are interested in any kind of sponsorship opportunities, we still have those available as well. So,
Do you have a title sponsor?
yes, our title sponsor, sorry, been doing too much talking today. Our title sponsor is Champ Honda, so we're very excited to have Littleton Business on board as our title sponsor. Our shelter not only serves Littleton, we also serve Englewood, Sheridan, Lone Tree, Parker, Cherry Hills Village. So we have a lot of other communities that the shelter supports. So, but we're very excited to be actually in the city of Littleton. The location, in case anyone isn't aware, I know all council members are aware, is at Shenango and Santa Fe. So if you go west where the U-Haul building is on Santa Fe onto Shenango, it's about a block up on the right. And it's a great facility. We have great staff and just a really nice facility for the animals. And Nick is a special dog trainer and rehabilitator, so we've had a lot of success in rehabilitating animals that other shelters or other agencies don't want to take on and might consider unadoptable. Nick has turned them into adoptable dogs, and we found them homes. So
That's great. Any other questions? Thank you, Margie.
We should probably give the address again, 2129 West Shenango Avenue, Unit A, and our phone number is 303-703-2938.
right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Thanks
having us.
again.
All right, we're in unscheduled public appearances, which is time for anyone to come down and make comments or ask questions. We ask that you limit yourself to 4 minutes and state your name and address, please. Come on down.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I would like to present a petition from citizens of Old Littleton. This is regarding the Stern Park Lake. The same petition is going to Dave Lorenz at South Suburban. But I'll read the heading of it. The following citizens of Old Littleton are quite disturbed about the deplorable condition of Stern Park and the odors that penetrate the pavilions, paths, and other close proximity park grounds. In addition, those living immediately on the lake's perimeter are experiencing excessive mosquitoes while attempting to enjoy the outdoors, more than any other year that most of us can recall. Presently, the lake is about 2 feet deep, causing the fish to be killed, atrocious algae to appear and smell. This lake has not been dredged since the late 1990s. Charlie probably has the date. We can understand that this dredging cannot be accomplished in time for Western Welcome Week, days that begin August 12th, just 10 days from now. It is known that your staff is trying their utmost effort to gain control of the algae by this date. Thank you, Charlie. So, anyway, the below citizens of Old Littleton are hoping that this immediate action can be accomplished to solve this problem and bring back the beauty that this lake and park deserve. Okay, now, Stern Park Lake. Just looking, well, I also have pictures that my wife took. The entire surface of the lake is covered with algae. You see very little water. You just see algae. Now, the history of this, the water is 2 to 4 feet deep, according to South Suburban. debris and so forth from Little's Creek and street gutters feed into the lake and accumulate. It builds up at the bottom of the lake, making algae grow, especially in the terrific heat we've been having. Long-term solution, it needs to be dredged. Last dredged, late 1990s, we need to somehow, Littleton and South Suburban need to find funds to accomplish this again. Now, short-term solution, spray for mosquitoes. This is just my idea. Open the outlet gates, let the lake drain. All this algae, let it run out. Maybe spray with high-pressure fire hoses from the far side of the lake, which create a force going towards the outlet gates. Chemicals to kill the algae. The same petition signatures will be presented to South Suburban on Thursday. The fish are all dead in the lake. There are no fish. The geese, the few geese that are remaining on the lake, it's hard for them to swim in this algae. When they climb out of the lake, their bellies and legs are covered with algae and they slip and slide on the rocks. The aeration system is not working. It didn't work over the weekend. Now, just tonight I noticed it was working. However, this weekend it was in the on position in the maintenance shed down there in the park, but we figured that maybe it was all gummed up due to the algae, so it wasn't working. Well, walk by the lake and you can smell it. Mosquitoes. We haven't been able to eat out on our back porch, eat an evening meal in perhaps 10 days because of the mosquitoes. They descend on us like crazy. I think of Western Welcome Week. Friday a week from now, again 10 days. Lions Club barbecue in the park. Concert in the park. Dixieland Jazz and Littleton Symphony, I believe. Also the fireworks at 9 o'clock. There's going to be hundreds of people that are going to come down to this park for the barbecue, the concert, and the fireworks. Right alongside of them is this lake, this stinky lake, and these swarms of mosquitoes. Golly, I'm ashamed. I just hope something can be done to help solve this problem before Western Welcome Week barbecue. I guess that's all that I have to say, unless there's any questions. We need a long-term solution, which is the funds to dredge it.
Can you give us your name, please?
Oh, sorry, Joseph Devlin.
Okay.
I live at 5870 South Bemis Street in Littleton. Many of you I know, like Doug and Joseph, I know Joe Trujillo forever, it seems. And of course, Peggy Cole, I see Peggy every day running her laps around the lake and the park. So many of you I do know. James Taylor I know. So who do I present this to, this petition?
Why don't you give it to the city clerk and she'll make sure we get copies.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
And he's quite right. About a month or 6 weeks ago, I commented that there was a problem. But then we had a huge rain, and I thought everything got washed to somebody else's downstream area. But in the last week, it has just blossomed almost into a solid carpet. And, of course, it's the conditions, and I understand that. But it is something that is not attractive, and a lot of people who come downtown park in that area and go downtown. So it is an important thing for us to try to deal with.
Let me just add a little bit of a factoid there. You're correct, it hasn't been dredged in a while, and I don't know how many lakes South Suburban has to dredge. And we have requested that South Suburban put this in there. I don't think it's in this year's budget, so I'm not optimistic that it could get done before Western Welcome Week. But it's pretty expensive. It's about $100,000. And so we have talked with South Suburban. We have requested that it get on their budget list, and so I'm sure we'll have some discussions with them about that. But barring some extraordinary emergency appropriations, I'm not optimistic that either us or South Suburban could come up with that kind of money.
Is there anything at all that can be done just with the surface stuff?
Some of the suggestions, I think we could talk to South Suburban. Maybe there is some temporary modifications just to make it a little bit more bearable over there. That I think, we'll certainly follow up on those. But a full dredging is a pretty expensive proposition and probably needs to be budgeted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Pam?
Hi, Council. My name is...
Would you pull the microphone down just a little bit? Thanks.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes. My name is Pam Chadbourne. I live at 5402 South Nevada Street, which is at the north end of the downtown football. And because the revised city lighting ordinance comes up in 2 weeks, I hope you expected to see me. In the unscheduled citizens' public appearance, we're supposed to be able to ask questions, not expect an immediate response. So I'm going to set up what I'm hoping to hear in 2 weeks. The draft revision to the lighting ordinance came before the Planning Commission a week ago Monday. So I saw it there. The rationale was not included at that meeting, and I'm not sure it's supposed to be. But the proposed change is substantial. Some could say that it's a fundamental change. The dark sky language is removed, and you folks know, having listened to me at length about that that's important to me. The reasons for this large change in the lighting ordinance are not clear to me, and they should be. And they should be clear to you, too. So that's basically what I'm asking for to hear in 2 weeks. So specifically, what are the reasons for dropping the dark sky language? And what is the outcome for Littleton of using the new ordinance? What's Littleton going to look like in 10 years after this ordinance is in effect? Now, there are ways to determine this. There should be other cities that have similar lighting ordinances. I want to believe that we're not adopting something just because it's not complex and simple, but no other city has it, and we don't know what it's going to do. We need to know what it's due. I want to know what it's going to do. So I want staff to help us understand what the impact of the ordinance change is going to be. Other cities who have this kind of lighting ordinance, we could get pictures of them and see what they look like at night and during the day. And as far as the reason for this ordinance change, as far as I know, the city staff only had, in the 7 years this ordinance, the current ordinance has been in effect, the staff has identified 3 reasons for change. Update the terminology, create a variance process, and create some reasons or allowances for security lighting. However, my understanding is the Mercedes-Benz dealer at the end of Broadway called up the mayor and said, my lot is dim and I'm not selling cars. And then the city had 3 meetings with the city's car dealers to get input from them and ask for then a change in the ordinance, simplification, removing complexity, et cetera. Now, what I know is I talked to Terry Minnick, the general manager of Mercedes. City staff came out to his lot and measured the performance of their lights. Their lights were not as bright as code allowed. And I had driven by the lot at night, and you could see it was dimmer from the other car lots along Broadway. And I have to tell you, my parents lived across from those car lots. I'm intimately familiar with those lights. So the real problem, the initial problem, was that the lights in the Mercedes lot were installed too dim.
Pam?
Oh, is it past time?
It is, and we're going to have a public hearing on that, which would really be the time to bring this
Okay.
stuff up. But it won't be 2 weeks from now. That will be the first reading. So,
Right.
Which doesn't have a public hearing, so you really want to come for the public hearing. So we'll set the date at the first reading, which will be 2 weeks from now, for the
Okay.
public hearing. So it'll
Does the
probably be-
first reading include the rationale?
First reading, I don't know. I haven't seen the communication for the first reading, so,
Okay.
but
All
thank you.
right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? All right, that brings us to consent agenda.
We got one more.
All right, come on down.
Good evening. I'm Karen Millspaugh. I'm from Trailmark, and we've been here for, the people from Trailmark have been here probably the last 3 or 4 meetings trying to find out about the ISO rating and what is being done about that. I watched the special meeting on Channel 8 to try and get an idea as to what the ISO rating was going to be, and I heard Chief Mullen telling some of the folks on the board that hadn't been at the meeting just exactly what was happening. One of the things is that the ISO requires a community to be 5 road miles away, the actual fire station being within 5 road miles away from the community within that. And I see that we do not qualify for that. I also see that with Trailmark trying to work with West Metro, seems like it's not going to give us, they are closer, but they are not first responders according to that meeting. And so I'm not just exactly sure how you're going to work with that, and I'm hoping that you can give us an answer to that, because I think a lot of people's rates have gone up or will go up. Mine went up. I know some of my neighbors have gone up, so we're worried about that. The ISO rating, according to what Chief Mullins said, needed to have a real fire station, and it had to have at least 4 people that were in the fire station that could be like on a truck that would come to our community. And so that requires, I think it requires that those are the things that we need to have. However, if we use West Metro, it still doesn't help decrease our response times very much. And that's the thing that I am concerned about, along with the ISO rating. We in Trailmark have continually come here and asked for an additional fire station in or near Trailmark to decrease the risk of high response times and to increase the safety of our community and the safety of all of Littleton, because if another fire station happens to be on a call to us, that makes one less fire response team that cannot make it maybe to another fire. Secondly, I'd like to repeat what a couple of folks have said. I think, Debbie, you said it, and I think, Mr. Mayor, you said it as well, is that sometimes in Littleton, those those response times are high also, depending upon what the other fire stations are doing. So it could be that this affects a lot of Littleton and not just Trailmark. I know that my comment to the members of council on this is, how can you continue to accept high response times as okay for all of the citizens of Littleton? And I preface that by saying that there's a new study that I'm aware of, I just became aware of today, that I think you asked the city manager to come up with for Trailmark, and our times have increased from 2009 up until now. It's those response times are 90% of the time, I understand that, but our rates have gone up to Trailmark, and I'm wondering if they've gone up in other parts of the city as well. But of course, I'm a little selfish. I want to make sure that Trailmark actually gets better response times. Now, I can give you those rates, or I can let you know just exactly what they are, but I'm sure you probably already have those response times and know they've increased. With those response for Trailmark in mind, I'd say that my definition of what a response time should be is about 5 to 8 minutes, 5 being the low part, 8 minutes being tops. And I would like to be able to have that be something that we would look at. That's my definition. Anybody can take a look at it and say, oh no, it needs to be more, or no, it needs to be less. We can all dispute it, and we can say that we can quote all kinds of different studies that we've read, but we know that in 8 minutes time or any time after that, if you're in a cardiac arrest, you're starting to lose brain cells if you're not treated. Again, Trailmark response times are not the only issue. I think this is a Littleton issue, and I would venture to say that response times probably are on the rise. They could be. We know that fire personnel want to get there. I think they want to get to the scene because they've been trained. They know what to do once they get there, and they want to do the job that they were trained to do. Some of the firefighters even live in our Trailmark area, and I know that if they could have the resources and they could have, yes.
Your time's up, so
Okay.
please finish up.
All right. My point is that I think we really do need to work, I think the council needs to work on it and do it right. Actually spend some time figuring out just exactly what you can do that will help all of Littleton, but especially Trailmark. Thank you.
Karen, just a quick comment. We have not been able to share a lot of the information regarding our negotiations currently with the ISO rate and how we're working on that. We are working on it. We've had a number of meetings. We're going into an exec session after this to continue discussion. So it, as I think I have mentioned frequently to Trailmark residents, particularly those who email me, that it is a top priority for us. It's on the front burner, and we've got it at a high level of importance, and we're not, I mean, the negotiations are never fast. So, but it's being taken, you know, we're doing everything we possibly can right now, and as soon as we can share some information, we've got some things settled, that will definitely happen immediately.
I appreciate that. And of course, you know that we're all here and we'll continue to be here until you can let us know something that's going to help Trailmark and all of Littleton. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. First item is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Arapahoe County for the reimbursement of the purchase of the Ackerman property. Littleton fronted $54,000 to the county to expedite the purchase of the Ackerman property. This intergovernmental agreement authorizes the county to reimburse us and us to receive the amounts. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve consent agenda item.
Did you read it by
I'm
title?
sorry. You have to
When
read
did
it
you
by title.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Littleton, Colorado, authorizing the reimbursement to the City of Littleton from the Arapahoe County Open Space Program funds for the purchase of the Ackerman property.
Thank you. Now,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve consent agenda item 7A.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda item 7A, which is the intergovernmental agreement. Discussion. Council ready to vote?
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion's approved.
Okay, that brings us to an ordinance on second reading, adding sections to the Littleton City Code. If you can read that by title, please.
This is an ordinance of the City of Littleton, Colorado, adding City Code Sections 1-6-24 and 1-6-25 related to the collection of fees for unpaid municipal court obligations.
Council, our court administrator, Pat Spindler, will present this item to you.
Hi.
Pull that microphone down, please, Pat, so we
sure.
can talk into it.
Sure. We presented this on second reading. The contract is not yet ready for signing with the integral recoveries, but we have selected integral recoveries for the contract for the collection of unpaid fines, cost, and restitution.
Okay, this ordinance would, this ordinance changes existing ordinances to the city, that the city has, authorizing us to send out unpaid violations for collections. This is a public hearing. If anyone wants to address us on this issue, now would be the time. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, Pat.
Sorry, Jim has a
I
question.
want to ask you a question. Part of our information came to us. It said if the defendant has 3 or more unpaid citations, the vehicle may be placed on a tow list. Does that include parking violations, or is it all moving?
No, that is only for parking tickets.
Only for parking. Okay.
Any other questions for Pat? Thanks. All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone wants to come down and address us about this issue, now would be the time. You have a motion, please.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adding Littleton Municipal Code related to the collections for fees for unpaid municipal court, Section 1-6-24 and 1-6-25 of the obligations be approved on second reading, and the council president be authorized to fix a signature thereto.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance. Any discussion? Ready to vote?
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion's approved.
Okay. That brings us to reports, and if anyone has anything to report, it better be good.
In short.
I don't have anything, Council.
No, okay. Does anybody venture a report?
I've got one, but it's
Okay.
tradition dictates, but this is actually a good one. Not that the others weren't. The merchant plug of the week this week goes to the Colorado Center for the Blind, who is, in fact, having a fundraiser also on August 27th. It's a hats off to Broadway celebration. It says, join us on the red carpet, buy your tickets today, and you can purchase tickets by calling 303-778-1130, extension 211, or contacting Carol Elzi, E-L-Z-I, at the Colorado Center for the Blind.
Anything else?
I will just say that I was going to give a report tonight on the executive board's retreat, and I will put that into writing and send it out to you, gentlemen and ladies.
Okay. I will report that I have been honored to be able to serve the citizens of Littleton for the last 6 years as their city council person, but I'm announcing that I will not run for re-election. I am moving on to different opportunities. Which brings us to item 15. Deb.
I move that City Council convene an exec session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-402, paren 4, subsection B, subsection E, and subsection F, to receive legal advice, contract negotiations regarding Littleton Fire Services, and to discuss a personnel matter.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. This takes 5 votes. Discussion.
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion's approved.
Bruce, we will not